Hello. I was introduced to the teachings of Abraham a couple years ago, and the last couple years have been so nice. There have been hours and hours of tapes that I've listened to, and it just seems like my room is filled with books and all sorts of reading material, and it seems like there's been a lot of fun work that's been done to move from being afraid of life, being intimidated, being cynical, to more hopeful. And I understand that a belief is just a thought that you keep thinking and that expectations rule. Sometimes it seems like my beliefs are these huge things that I carry around, and there's all this self-help material that says, well, say this little affirmation and it'll be better. And like a lot of times those affirmations buck against my current beliefs so much that they don't feel helpful.
Yes.
So I'm looking for a way to change beliefs that I've carried around for decades in a fun, easy way.
Well, here, you've just delivered the soliloquy that we've been offering at the last 5 workshops, because that we've been playing with these money and the law of attraction cards, saying just what you've just said, that when you are aware of a problem and therefore outside the vortex, the problem's active in your vibration, and you begin affirming, my attention to it invites the essence of it. Well, duh. I have control over the thoughts I think. Sure I do. My life story and the law of attraction. Achieving success is my natural birthright. Oh, God, who writes this stuff? It's sort of like, and we're just going to talk about this briefly because we're just reiterating what you just said, but it's sort of like trying to convince someone else about something, and the more you try to tell them what you think, the harder they dig into what they believe, and the harder they try to tell you what they think, the harder you dig into what you believe. So it's like you said, it challenges a belief and just makes you sort of dig in to protect that belief in a stronger way. So the funner, easier way, and it is funner and way, way easier, is recognizing that rather than working so hard to get into the vortex, to just be aware that you're already in there from time to time and milk it when you are there. In other words, recognize a moment of greater ease, or a moment of greater peacefulness, or a moment of greater satisfaction, and then just analyze what the pieces of it are, with the interest in just keeping that vibration active within yourself a little longer. Because everything that is coming to you is coming to your current point of attraction. This is the thing that is so confounding to so many people. They intellectually get it. They get it that law of attraction is responding. But it feels like the thoughts are thinking me rather than I'm thinking the thoughts sometimes. So the key is to start with something general. So here's how it works. Let's say that there's something that you want and it isn't happening, and that, as we said earlier, you're really aware of what is. So what is really active in your vibration, and it's so active that it makes you feel uncomfortable because it's different from what you want, but it is, and it's active. But it's different from what you want, but it is, and it's active. So you say just the opposite of what is, with an interest in, we called it pivoting in the beginning. When you know what you don't want, you know what you do want. And you never know more clearly what you do want than when you're living what you don't want. But there's another piece to that. You never know more clearly what you do want than when you're living what you don't want, but you never have less access to what you do want than when you're keenly aware of what you don't want either. Because what you don't want is your point of attraction, and it's gathering the cooperative components. So it's gathering up the thoughts you're thinking. It's gathering up the people who are coming around. It's gathering up proof of the belief. In other words, it's true because you're offering the vibration about it. So we've just made law of attraction feel hopeless, haven't we? Because what is attracting more of what is, and you're observing what is. But here's the easy key. If you, rather than trying to think the opposite in specific terms, which law of attraction won't let you do, you try to reach for the opposite in general terms, in emotional terms, in really, really general terms. For example, the other day we were talking to a mother who has a teenage daughter who is just making her nuts. And so many people related to it, and as she was talking about it, there was no possible way that she could find an in the vortex thought about her daughter, because she had too many out of the vortex thoughts about her daughter that were too active. But when we started talking about thinking general, really, really general, just stepping away from the details, and we just said to her, there's nobody on this planet that you love more than that girl. And she went right to that place. It was easy for her to find that general place of a mother's love, even though she was in a really active parental quagmire. So then we were talking to someone who very specifically needs money, really specifically, like today, like right now, like yesterday, like quite a bit of it, like really quite a bit of it, like yesterday, no, like last month, like 2 months, like 3 months ago, needing it. And so when we talk about money to someone who needs it and who is that aware, and it's really active because the phone is ringing, or it was before it was turned off, the rent is due, the girlfriend is upset because you can't ever go anyplace fun. In other words, all these active things happening to remind you of where you are in terms of your relationship with money. Active. So you pick up these cards and start reading, and you say, I would like to use these as rocks to throw at passing cars. It would be sort of satisfying to just fling these off of a mountain cliff. There's not one thing here for me. There is no shortage of money or time. In whose world? So what we're getting at, and we have all made the point, specifics aren't going to get you into the vortex when there's something really actively going on. And we're exaggerating this for you because your question is big. In other words, we're painting it in a stronger, discordant place than it deserves to be. But the answer is still the same to your very important question. If you can find so relative to money, as we were just exaggerating it, I don't have to think about it right now, is a general statement. I don't have to think about it right now. I can go for a walk. I don't have to think about it right now. There's a little relief in that. And many would say, well, there's a little escapism. And we say, yes, escape into the vortex. That's what we want you to do. We want you to find any thought that gives you relief. I don't have to think about it right now. And I'll figure it out soon enough. And even though it didn't solve the problem, and even though you don't have a plan of action, and even though the answers aren't coming this red-hot minute, you moved in the direction of the vortex with that general thought. And so the simple answer that you're reaching for is, we want to convince you that that little bit of relief was huge leverage and huge power and huge benefit and huge motion in the right direction, because we know that if you can be general enough and general enough and general enough, not going to think about that, not going to think about that, not going to think about that, not going to think about that. I don't have to think about it now. I can take a walk now. I can ride my bike now. I can go with my friends now. I can do this now. I can do this now. As you distract yourself from the vivid detail of what's bothering you, you'll go into the vortex. And if you do that often enough, now what happens, you go into the vortex, and then if you feel guilty because you should be doing something else, the vortex will spit you right back out. So you just say something general and get back in. So the easy thing, really the easy thing, is to make getting into the vortex the only thing that matters. Finding relief is the only thing that matters. Releasing resistance is the only thing that matters. And the reason that we can unequivocally, we want to shout it is so exciting to us, speak to you about it being the only thing that matters, is that we know if you can can go in and hang around and go in and hang around and go in and hang around and go in and hang around. Before you know it, you're going to be so familiar there that, and here's the easy part that you're looking for. Every second you spend in non-resistance, and therefore in allowance to this vortex, every second that you spend there, the vortex is tuning your frequency higher. The vortex is tuning it higher. In the absence of resistant thought, the vortex is tuning your frequency higher. And so you're beginning to breathe a little more deeply. You're beginning to feel a little better. Now, what happens when your frequency begins to raise? You get different radio channels. You become a cooperative component to different thoughts. You might even reach such a frequency that inside the vortex you could read, I am the creator of my own life experience. Yeah. What's the other side of that say? Whatever I desire, I can acquire. That feels possible. I'll tell my story as I want it to be. I love being in the vortex. Money isn't everything, but, well, true enough, don't have it. I'm in the vortex. I can tell stories of shortage and experience. I cannot tell stories of shortage and experience abundance. Makes sense to me. In other words, these affirmation cards that felt so bad 5 minutes ago, now that I've tuned myself into the vortex, feel like who I really am, what I really know. So whether it takes you 5 minutes to get over there or 5 days to get over there, it doesn't matter. The vortex will take you in every day. We just want to convince you. The vortex is real. There's a frequency within it that will tune your frequency up. And as it tunes your frequency up, everything about your point of attraction will shift to give you the evidence of it. And that's when it really starts getting easy. And you know that. You've experienced that already. In other words, once you start tuning to who you really are, the power of who you really are, when that feeling of fear or that feeling of vulnerability dissipates, the reason it's dissipating is because who you really are is becoming the more dominant vibration within you. Is that helpful?
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Be easy about it. Be playful. We'll talk all day about getting into the vortex. So what's the easy way? What's the easy way? What's the easy way? Using the power of the vortex. What's the easy way to use the power of the vortex? Be general, not specific. Be general and positive, not specific and positive. Why? Because when you try to be specific and positive, when you've just been specific and negative, the specific and negative will overrule the specific and positive and won't let you in. But if you get general, it's like saying, I need $100,000 and I need it now. Specific, and it doesn't feel good. So you say, generally, I want my finances to improve. It's a much more soft, general statement. Yes?